They'll never find me. He told me what he would do. On September 10th, 2025, a conservative activist fell dead from a sniper's bullet. And somewhere in the shadows, the accused killer's roommate, his romantic partner, has vanished without a trace. His name is Lance Twiggs, a missing partner, a love entangled in violence, and a silence that may hold the key to the truth. Who really pulled the trigger on Charlie Kirk's life? And where is Lance Twiggs now? Did he know more than he admitted? Or has he become a target himself? A note left hidden beneath a laptop keyboard. Text messages that read like a confession. DNA on a rifle wrapped in cloth. And then, the sudden disappearance of the one person closest to the suspect. This is not just a crime story. It is a test of whether truth can survive in a storm of politics, lies, and fear. If you believe truth matters more than spin, if you believe vanishing voices must be heard before it's too late, then you cannot stay silent. Subscribe now. Comment where you're watching from. Because if you look away, you become part of the silence that swallows them whole. September 10th, 2025. Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. A Turning Point USA rally called the American Comeback Tour draws nearly 3,000 people into a packed auditorium. At 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, the sound of a single shot slices through the air. Charlie Kirk collapses, struck in the neck by a bullet fired from a rooftop vantage point overlooking the venue. Panic spreads like wildfire. Attendees scream, scatter, and take cover. Within seconds, paramedics rush in, fighting desperately to keep him alive. The crowd, shaken and terrified, watches as Kirk is carried out on a stretcher. Hours later, the news confirms what many feared: he is dead. The first line of response comes from campus security, quickly joined by Orem police. Within minutes, federal agencies, the FBI and the ATF are on scene. Helicopters circle, snipers scan rooftops, and tactical teams lock down the perimeter. Initial arrests follow bystanders, individuals caught running from the chaos, but they're soon released. The true suspect is still unknown. Investigators trace the path to a rooftop, recover evidence, and begin reviewing surveillance footage to piece together who moved where and when. And then the story explodes. National media immediately labels the event an act of political violence. Headlines flash across every network. Politicians weigh in. Even President Trump makes a statement, framing the assassination as part of America's worsening divide. The fascination is immediate, the speculation unstoppable. Motive, ideology, conspiracy all collide in a storm of confusion and outrage. If you believe silence allows lies to flourish, pause now, hit like, share this video, and push this case into the light. Because the truth will only survive if we fight to keep it alive. On the rooftop, police recover the weapon, a .30-06 Mauser M98 bolt-action rifle. Wrapped in cloth, its presence leaves no doubt that the shooter planned his vantage point with precision. Beside it, investigators find a towel and a screwdriver. Forensic testing reveals DNA, matching the accused, Tyler Robison. The rifle, the cloth, the tools of entry and concealment, all tied back to him through science that does not lie. Ballistics confirm what the crowd already feared. The bullet that pierced Charlie Kirk's neck came from that rooftop. The trajectory, the casing, the chamber marks, they all tell the same story. But the physical trail is only the beginning. Hidden beneath Robinson's laptop keyboard, investigators uncover a note. In his own words, "I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." A chilling statement of intent. A window into his mind. The evidence grows darker with each discovery. On Discord, Robinson allegedly confesses to associates, "It was me at UView yesterday. I'm sorry for all this." Words typed in the safety of a screen, but carrying the weight of a gunshot heard around the nation. His digital world exposes more, a pattern of ideology, a profile of radicalization. Online posts, conversations, and writings reveal a man wrestling with hatred, with justice, with a mission only he seemed to understand. And then come the texts to Lance Twiggs. In the hours after the shooting, Robinson reaches out, not to deny, not to hide, but to admit. He directs Twiggs to the note, as if confessing to the one person closest to him. Then comes the instruction: delete everything. Stay silent. Do not betray me. Surveillance footage adds another layer. Cameras capture Robinson's movement across campus, timing his path toward the rooftop. Each frame becomes another nail in the prosecution's case. When stacked together, the evidence appears undeniable: weapon, DNA, ballistics, confession notes, text surveillance. The narrative flows like a straight line: planning, execution, aftermath, but the defense is already pointing to cracks. How did Robinson gain access to the rooftop? Were others involved? Could the chain of custody be questioned? And above all, if this was a lone act, why does so much remain unexplained? Some believe a second hand may have guided this crime. A missing accomplice, a co-conspirator, or perhaps the one who has since vanished, Lance Twiggs. Do not let this story be buried under political spin. Hit like, share widely. Let your voice demand accountability. Because silence is the weapon that keeps the truth locked away. To understand the crime, investigators turn to the man accused of pulling the trigger, Tyler James Robinson. Born April 16, 2003, Robinson grew up in Washington, Utah. By all appearances, his life was ordinary. He enrolled in an electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College. He shared an apartment in St. George with his roommate and romantic partner, Lance Twiggs. To neighbors, they were just another young couple trying to build a future. But beneath the surface, something was shifting. Robinson's political leanings were reportedly in flux. Friends say he had begun expressing resentment, anger, and confusion about ideology and identity. Conversations turned darker. His private words began to contradict his public face. Online, the cracks widened. On digital platforms and in Discord chats, Robinson expressed thoughts that sounded less like debate and more like a mission. The language of radicalization emerged. Suddenly, the boy from Washington, Utah, was speaking in the tones of grievance, hatred, and violence. He left behind fragments, confessions typed to strangers in gaming communities, apologies and admissions couched in irony, yet heavy with truth. But the most telling pieces are the messages sent to Lance Twiggs. After the shooting, Robinson ordered him to delete evidence, to destroy messages, to stay silent. Was this manipulation, a desperate attempt to keep Twiggs loyal? Or was it the reflex of a man who feared his closest companion might betray him? Psychologists point to a toxic blend: ideological resentment, a sense of moral justification, and a craving to strike back at those he believed had wronged him. Social isolation may have driven him deeper into online echo chambers where extreme views hardened into certainty. And then there is the relationship. Trust and secrecy intertwined. A partner pulled into the orbit of a crime that would shake the nation. How much did Twiggs know? How much was forced upon him? And how much was hidden? Tyler Robinson is not just the accused. He is a puzzle of contradictions. A student and a sniper. A partner and a manipulator. A man whose ordinary life unraveled into extraordinary violence. At the center of this mystery stands one person who knew Tyler Robinson better than anyone else: his roommate, his romantic partner, Lance Twiggs. Biologically male, identifying as a transgender person in transition, Twiggs shared a modest apartment with Robinson in St. George, Utah. Together, they built a private life, bound by love, secrecy, and struggle. But in the wake of the assassination, Twiggs would become something far more: a key witness. When investigators closed in, Twiggs cooperated. He was not charged as a suspect. Instead, he turned over messages, notes, and digital evidence that prosecutors now lean on to build their case. The text from Robinson, the note hidden under the keyboard, the instructions to delete everything. Without Twiggs, much of the evidence might never have surfaced. But cooperation comes at a cost. Did Twiggs betray Robinson? Or did he act out of moral duty? Was it loyalty to justice or self-preservation? The dilemma is impossible to ignore. On one side, a partner he lived with and loved. On the other, the truth of a sniper's bullet and the weight of national tragedy. Some believe Twiggs was threatened, pressured, or even manipulated. Others believe he acted out of fear of prosecution, calculating that handing over evidence was the only way to save himself. And yet, the question lingers. Was he more than a witness? Did he know of Robinson's plans? Could he have stopped them? Public opinion is fractured. To some, Twiggs is a hero, the insider who chose truth over silence. To others, he is a traitor, turning against the man he once called his partner. Still others see him as a survivor caught in a web of violence, not of his own making, forced to choose between safety and loyalty. The cost has been immense. In the media storm, Twiggs' identity was dissected, debated, weaponized. His name became a lightning rod, his safety uncertain, his disappearance haunting. Was he a scapegoat, a whistleblower, or both? In the end, Lance Twiggs is not just a witness. He is the missing voice that could hold the answers. The partner torn between love and justice. And now, the vanished figure whose silence may speak louder than words. Why did Tyler Robison pull the trigger? What drove an apprentice from Washington, Utah, into the crosshairs of political violence? Prosecutors point first to ideology. In messages and notes, Robinson railed against what he called Charlie Kirk's hatred toward trans people, toward the LGBTQ community. To him, the rally at Utah Valley University was not just a speech. It was a symbol. And he believed removing Kirk was an act of justice. But ideology is only one layer. Behind closed doors, Robinson wrestled with tension in his personal life. Conflict in his relationship with Lance Twiggs, emotional instability, outbursts of grievance that blurred the line between love and resentment. Was the assassination born not only of politics, but also of private turmoil? Psychologists suggest something deeper still, a distorted sense of mission, a radicalization fed by online echo chambers, where anger hardened into conviction. A young man consumed by the belief that violence could rewrite meaning in his life. And yet, so much remains unproven. Did Robinson truly act alone? Some insist the possibility of a second shooter cannot be dismissed. Who placed the weapon on the rooftop? Who scouted the entry path? How long was the plan in motion, weeks or only days? And then there is the question that cuts the deepest. What role did Lance Twiggs really play? Was Twiggs complicit, bound to Robinson's plan? Or was he manipulated, coerced, silenced? And why has Twiggs vanished now? Is he in hiding? Was he threatened? Or does his disappearance signal something darker? That the insider who knew too much has been removed from the story entirely? Could the true mastermind be hiding in plain sight? Was this assassination an act of pure ideology, or was it twisted by personal betrayal? And will we ever hear from the vanishing partner who may hold the key to the truth? The nation wakes to grief and disbelief. In Utah, vigils and memorials spring up almost overnight. Candles, flowers, prayers, an outpouring of mourning for Charlie Kirk, a man whose voice shaped the conservative movement. But as grief takes hold, polarization deepens. Conservatives frame the killing as a direct attack on free speech, on faith, on America itself. Progressives, meanwhile, clash over how to interpret the act. Was it ideological violence, personal breakdown, or something more complex? The media fans the storm. Early leaks claim that bullets bore inscriptions tied to trans ideology. The story spreads, sensational and explosive. Yet within days, those claims are disputed, leaving a trail of confusion and distrust. On social media, the chaos multiplies. Conspiracy theories flood the timelines, talk of a second shooter, shadowy accomplices, cover-ups. Every rumor becomes fuel for outrage. Every silence, proof of a plot. Even commentary becomes dangerous. Educators, activists, and public figures face disciplinary action for their words about the assassination. To speak out is to risk backlash. To remain silent is to be accused of complicity. The murder of Charlie Kirk does not stand alone. It reflects something larger, the escalating danger of political violence in an age where polarization makes enemies of neighbors. It forces questions about identity politics, ideology, and the personal vendettas that bleed into public life. It also exposes deep fractures in trust. Can law enforcement be transparent in such a charged case? Can due process survive when public opinion has already rendered its verdict? And in the spotlight, what happens to marginalized identities like Lance Twiggs when they become characters in a story too sensational for compassion? In the end, the assassination of Charlie Kirk is not just one man's death. It is a mirror showing the fractures of a country at war with itself and the human costs buried beneath the headlines. One bullet, one rooftop, one man dead, and a partner who vanished into silence. The evidence seems overwhelming: DNA on a rifle, a note hidden beneath a keyboard, texts that read like confessions. And yet, gaps remain. Who helped plan the crime? Who placed the weapon? And why does the one closest to the suspect, the partner who held the messages, the keys, the secrets, remain missing? Behind every headline is a human cost. A family grieving Charlie Kirk, left to mourn a father, a husband, a son. A partner, Lance Twiggs, caught between loyalty and survival, his identity dragged into a storm of judgment. And a silence so heavy, it feels like another act of violence. So we are left to ask, what truth will ultimately survive the roar of political noise? And if the one person who may know the most remains silent, what pieces of the story are we missing? If you want to see this case pushed toward justice, hit subscribe, ring the bell, share this video. Comment your theory below. Demand that no one's silence becomes immunity. Because in this case, the next message or the next disappearance could break it wide open.